And especially in terms of an interracial relationship, like what does more effort mean to you? Does she expect Joey to attend more fish fries? Does he need to learn Kodak Black lyrics? Does he need to attend more Black History Month events? Or does he need to read the book Roots? Like, what does more effort mean to you, Charity? Because I don't know. Hi everyone, my name is Demetri and welcome back to DemetriTube, The Bachelorette, Night 5. Let's talk about it. As always, if you're enjoying my videos, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. I'm a growing YouTuber and the likes and subscribes really help me out. So just two quick things before we get started. First, I changed the settings on my microphone, so if I sound worse, just let me know below in the comments. But if I sound better or about the same, actually, let me know that below in the comments too. If I sound better, let me know in the comments. But if I sound about the same, just don't really say anything. Actually, if I sound about the same, let me know that too. Y'all, I'm just really not an audio guy. So hopefully I sound okay and y'all can get through this video. Next, so next week, we're about to go to hometowns. And y'all, out of this group of contestants, I'm really not seeing a husband. Like, I'm seeing plenty of boyfriends, but a husband seems to be a little bit of a stretch. Do y'all feel the same, or am I the only one feeling this way? And it's not like we have a bad group of contestants. Like, we have a group of great guys, but I'm just not seeing a lifetime of love here. What do y'all think? Let me know below in the comments. And last thing before we get started, so I don't think this review is going to be very long. This was very much a filler episode to me. Like, we just had to kind of fill in the time before hometowns. And we're going to talk a little bit of, and we're going to talk about that a little more in the video. And that's all I got. Let's dive in. Okay, so the episode starts and all the contestants are in New Orleans, Louisiana. Charity gives us a cute outfit. It's a little grandma, but it's still cute. And Charity says that New Orleans, Louisiana is a romantic city. No, it's not. If you've never been to New Orleans, I highly recommend going at least once. It's really fun and usually it's not too pricey to go. The food is amazing. There's a lot of history and architecture there. And if you like partying, there's a lot of partying there too. But I don't recommend going during the summer. It gets crazy humid there. Anyways, so on this week's episode, we get 4 dates because Brayden is no longer here to carry the storyline. And the first one-on-one we get is with Joey. So for the date, Charity and Joey take a horse-drawn carriage through New Orleans. They have lunch together. They meet up with a fortune teller, dance in the streets. They go to that famous building in New Orleans. I'm not sure what that building is, but it's a famous building. And they also go to some guy writing poems in the street. And for the guy writing poems, I'm so glad he's getting some kind of use out of his MFA because I doubt the job market's really doing anything for him right now. And I didn't really pay much attention to the poems, but when Charity was giving the poet ideas for the poems, Charity says, "When I'm not with him, I miss him." And I just thought that was so sweet. And then we move on to the night portion of the date. I thought Charity's dress was okay. And then Joey didn't even wear a tie or a sport coat. Like, dude, are you already out of clothes? This is unacceptable. And then Charity asks Joey about hometowns and Joey responds that he has no doubts or concerns. He's just concerned about getting hurt, which is like the typical response regarding hometowns. And then after that, Charity asks, how do you feel about being in an interracial relationship? And when she asked that, I was like, okay, girl, set it off. Let's just dive right in. And Charity gives a very vague explanation, but she says in a past relationship, her partner was ignorant and there was just a lack of awareness and she wanted more effort on his part. So Joey responds and gives a very love conquers all type of answer. And he also says, I've never dated a Black woman. And he also says, I don't think it's something I'll be able to learn until we try to conquer that together. And Joey also says, I see you for the entire you that you are. And boy, Charity was eating that up. She loved every moment of that. And Charity responds and says she gets overwhelmed with her fears sometimes, but thinks that love does actually conquer all. Okay, so let's unpack this. First, Charity says that her previous partner was ignorant and there was a lack of awareness there, and she wanted more effort on his part. So in general, this explanation from Charity was just very vague, and overall on The Bachelor and Bachelorette, they never dived too deep. And in terms of a partner, she said she wanted more effort, but what does that mean? And especially in terms of an interracial relationship, like what does more effort mean to you? Does she expect Joey to attend more fish fries? Does he need to learn Kodak Black lyrics? Does he need to attend more Black History Month events? Or does he need to read the book Roots? Like, what does more effort mean to you, Charity? Because I don't know. And this is just my opinion. When you're Black and you're dating someone who's not Black, most likely you're gonna have to teach them something. More than likely, they're not gonna be able to learn everything on their own, and they're not gonna be able to learn everything from the internet. So most likely you're gonna have to teach them something. Next, if you've made it this far in the video, please go ahead and pound that like button for the YouTube algorithm. So when Charity says a lack of effort, it really comes down to like, what does that mean to her? Because if there's an unwillingness to learn, that's very much a problem. But saying there was a lack of effort, that's just way too vague. Next, Joey says that he has never dated a Black woman before. So if you're a Black woman watching this video, let me know below in the comments. Would you see that as a red flag? Because I feel like a lot of Black women would see that as a red flag. And I mainly say this because the goal of this show is to get engaged. And Charity wants to be engaged at the end of this. So to get engaged, but to also be engaged with a man who has never dated a Black woman before, that just seems like a tall order. Next, Joey very much gave a love conquers all answer, and he also says,
I don't think it's something I'll be able to learn until we try to conquer that together.
And I 100% agree with that. I am the same kind of romantic as Charity and Joey. I think if you love someone, you will figure it out, and you will figure it out together. Next, I can't speak on this too much because Charity's a woman and I'm a man, and just in general, the dating dynamics of being a guy versus a girl are a whole lot different, but I'm gonna try my best. So if I was dating someone and they told me they never dated a Black guy before, I would be open to it, but I'm also a little bit older than Charity and I'm getting desperate. I'll take whatever I can get. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But jokes aside, if I was dating someone and they were like, I've never dated a Black guy before, for me, I would just have to recognize and understand that there's probably going to be somewhat of a learning curve there, and I would have to be open and willing to work with that. So Charity, knowing this information, she'd have to be open and willing to work with Joey on this, and if you like him, you will figure it out. And then when it comes to Joey and Charity's connection, like there's definitely a little bit of a connection there, but I'm just not seeing a lifetime of love. I've said this in an earlier review. I think Charity just thinks he's really pretty, and also Joey in general is just a super sweet guy, and I think she really likes that about him. But am I seeing a lifetime of love? No. And last thing I want to say about them too. So if Charity does end up with Joey, they will do very well on social media. I don't know what it is about social media, but social media loves interracial couples where it's a Black woman and a white guy, and I don't know why, but it's like a huge thing on social. If you watched Love is Blind season 1, a good example of this is Lauren and Cameron. Social media loves them. And then Travis Kelce, he was the tight end for Kansas City. He dated Kayla Nicole for a while, and like the internet was obsessed with them. And even just in Bachelor Nation still is struggling to get over the fact that Rachel Lindsay chose Brian over Peter. And that happened like 6 years ago. So again, I don't understand what the obsession is, but people on social media love relationships like that. Now we're moving on to the next day, and we get a good old-fashioned 2-on-1, and they go gator hunting. I'm totally kidding. They didn't hunt gators. Like, PETA would have been on ABC so hard if they did that. But they did take a tour of gators. But wouldn't the date have been, like, way more fun if they went and just hunted gators? I think that would have been kind of cool, right? For the date, Charity takes both Sean and Tanner, and the writing is on the wall for both of them, and they both have an idea of what's going on. Joey has already had 2 one-on-ones, one-on-ones, and neither Sean nor Tanner has had a one-on-one, and now they're both going on a two-on-one. So they're putting the pieces together. Tanner is pretty much spiraling the entire episode. He feels like he's going to get sent home, and he also does not feel comfortable bringing someone to his family that he is not connected with. Sean is also spiraling due to the fact that he still has yet to have a one-on-one, and in general this episode he is pulling out all the dramatics, and it almost feels like ABC is giving him a villain edit, but I don't think he really had a villain edit. And during this date, Charity is milking it for all it's worth. She's like,
Sean is a nice guy, but is that enough? And Tanner, he just needs to open up more. Can he do it?
And I'm like, girl, you are not about to pick either of these guys. Like, why are we playing these games? And for the date, they take a gator tour. So basically they get on a boat in like a swamp or a bayou or something, and they get to see alligators along the way. And then after, they eat some crawfish. I didn't love this date. Like, the gator tour is... That's one of those dates where, like, if somebody offered it to me, I would do it, but like, I wouldn't say let's do that on my own. But eating the crawfish part, that's actually really cool. If you've never had crawfish before, you should try it sometime. And then when it comes to Tanner versus Sean, so I like that Sean is more vocal and competitive, but Tanner in general to me is just hotter. And I don't think Tanner is a bad guy, but in this episode he came off as very timid and shy. I don't know what it was, but he reminded me of like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. He wasn't like super depressed, but it was just like, he was just almost like depressing to watch. Whereas with Sean, he was really truly like fighting to stay there, and he was being very proactive about getting a chance to stay, and I just prefer that type of personality more. Anyways, we move on to the night portion of the day, and Charity's dress is cute. Also, on the previous episode, Brayden said that Sean looks like Prince Charming from Shrek, and I just cannot unsee it now. So this is the first time I've seen a night portion 2-on-1, but they basically treated it like a cocktail party, and each guy got a chance to have some time with Charity. Sean tells Charity that he's nervous to have her meet his family, but he's willing to take the risk. And Tanner says that he's a little guarded due to his previous relationship where he dated a girl for 3 years and then she ended up leaving to Florida and ghosting him. After hearing that story, I felt so bad for Tanner. That was just such a crazy story. And in general, it is just so wild how our generation has just normalized ghosting. So after speaking with both of the guys, Charity has one rose on the table and she needs to choose one guy. So Charity ends up picking up the rose and not choosing either of the guys. And Charity made this so dramatic for no reason. Like, Charity, you're not gonna pick Sean or Tanner. You might as well just send both of them to paradise right now. But in Charity's defense, I will say that she dug deep this episode. And then I don't know if y'all caught this, but during the 2-on-1 date, the camera pans back to the other guys that are not on the date. And Aaron says something along the lines of, where are they at? It's 11:40 p.m. And I'm surprised they let us know like what the time of day was. On this show, we usually have no concept of time, and also is production just forcing them to stay awake? Like, I don't understand why they don't just let them go to bed. Now we're moving on to a one-on-one with Dotun. For the one-on-one, they both partake in the Crescent City Classic, which is like a marathon race. Now, Charity and Dotun don't actually go running, but they do a fun run. And then during the run, they get to meet a few people. I think they may do a couple of activities, and then at the end, they get to have a beer. So personally, I thought this was a terrible date. Like, I wouldn't want to go to a marathon for a date. And then also, yeah, they weren't really running and they made it fun, but this just seemed like a bad idea. But the part when they put on tutus and stuff, that was really silly. I actually did like that. Also, when the marathon was about to begin, did y'all notice Dottin is like freakishly tall? Dottin was standing amongst all the runners and nobody even came close to his height. Like, literally no one. He was just towering over everyone. He's got to be like 6'8" or like 7 foot or something. And do y'all remember the other lead who was a woman of color who just chose the tallest guy who was a contestant on her season and how it ended for her? Never forget. Now, I'm not saying Michelle Young and Charity are similar or like the same person, but what I'm saying is the track record right now ain't looking very good. After that, we move on to the night portion. And yep, it's that time, outfit of the episode. For this week's outfit of the episode, I'm giving it to Charity's dress during the night portion with Dottin. Charity is giving us this floor-length black dress. On the top, it almost looks like a tank top with spaghetti straps, and then in the middle, there's a few cutouts, and then from the waist down, it's like a black flowy dress. It was kind of tough to see the entire dress because I think in the back at the waist, there was like a different pattern, but it was kind of tough to tell. But in general, Charity looks amazing. She looks like a 90s supermodel in this. The body was bodying, and that's why I gave this outfit of the episode. So just a few things I want to say about this one-on-one. First, Dotun says that he was nervous and scared and he fears failure, and says often that when he wants something super bad, he often falls on his face. And Charity at one point tells Dotun, "This is what I prayed for." And when Charity said that, my ears perked up so hard. She prayed for a man in a relationship like this. And then towards the end of the one-on-one, Dotun tells Charity that he's falling in love with her, and Charity lights the up. Like, that is exactly what she wanted to hear. And Dotun ends up getting the rose, and then they go outside and then they dance, and they're both wearing all black, and they have this beautiful NOLA scenery. This is probably the most romantic scene that we've had thus far, and definitely during this point I was feeling the fantasy. And when it comes to Dotun and Charity, I'm still not completely seeing it, but after seeing this episode, I'm starting to see a little bit of the romance between them, just a little bit, nothing crazy. After that, Sean goes to Charity's room to have a one-on-one chat, and Charity ends up sending him home. So basically, Sean just wanted more reassurance from Charity, and he was really upset he had not gotten a one-on-one yet. And Charity responded to him and said she didn't want to give out any unsure roses. And in general, Sean was a little bit too focused on the roses to me. And Sean tells her he's falling in love with her and he really fights for this relationship, but Charity responds and says she has stronger connections. And Charity pulls out some minor dramatics here, but she still ends up sending him home. And this is why I said this was a filler episode at the beginning of this review, because like, why are we pretending like Sean even had a chance of winning? And then we move on to the group date, and Charity gives us this cute pink dress. I think she wore it in honor of the new Barbie movie. And basically the date was just a cocktail party. Like, I don't understand why we couldn't get an activity. Like, the only activity was just riding the trolley to the cocktail party. And during this cocktail party, there's a few things I want to point out. First, Aaron does not really say much with Charity, but he does end up getting a rose. And then Xavier opens up to Charity and he tells her it's scary for him to commit to one person forever, but he wants to do it once and to do it right. And he's worried if Charity is the one, but feels like he could get there. So Charity ends up saving the second rose left because she's torn between Tanner and Xavier. And Charity was just milking this. Charity, let's be real. You were not torn between Tanner and Xavier. We all knew that Tanner was going home. You easily could have sent Tanner and Sean home during the 2-on-1. But again, this was just another reminder that this was a filler episode because Charity was really milking this. So after the group date ends, Charity ends up meeting Tanner later on, and she ends up eliminating him and saying it's not fair for her to go and meet his family if she knows they're not there yet. And again, Charity pulls out all these unnecessary dramatics, like she was going to pick Tanner when we all in reality knew she was not going to pick Tanner. And personally, I would have rather have seen a rose ceremony because Xavier and Tanner were already dressed for a rose ceremony. And if it was a rose ceremony, we would have gotten another outfit from Charity, but we didn't. So after that, Charity has a one-on-one with Xavier and ends up giving him the last rose. So out of this top four, if I have to give a final prediction, I think Dottin is gonna win. I don't think she should pick Dottin, but I think he's gonna win. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm really not seeing a husband out of this group. Like, I'm seeing plenty of boyfriends. Like, all of these guys could be a great boyfriend to Charity, but am I seeing a lifetime of love from any of these guys? No. And then when it comes to Dottin, I truly have nothing against this guy, but I just have a feeling that she shouldn't pick him. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. I just don't think he's the best pick. I would put Dottin in third place. I definitely do not want her to choose Aaron, but I do think that both Xavier and Joey would be a better pick than Dottin, but that's just me. What do y'all think? Let me know below in the comments. And from the previews, it looks like Charity is falling in love with multiple guys. So if she's falling in love with multiple people, I do think she should take all 3 guys that she does pick to the fantasy suites. But just given Charity's personality, I really don't see her bringing 3 guys to the fantasy suites. So we'll just have to wait and see. And sorry everyone, just one more thing before I go. So my next video is probably gonna be late. I'm going to San Francisco and I get back, I think, after the Bachelorette airs. I don't know, but I'm gonna try to get y'all my video on time, but no promises. Is the end of this review and the end of this episode. If you enjoyed this review, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.